of the room, so I'm hoping to get a little more of it while I'm up here. I, like you, have big goals and dreams for my life. Whether it's to start and raise a family, maybe it's to reach another level in your career or your business, or perhaps you want to save a whole bunch of money so you can retire early and travel the world, or all of it. But do you know what you need to be able to do all of those things and a whole lot more? Energy, confidence, feeling like you're capable. You gotta feel happy. There was a recent study done not too long ago on where we're at as a country when it comes to happiness and energy and how we feel. And 1/3 of our population feels good, which means over 200 million people in the United States don't feel so good. As a society, we are running around on autopilot, barely paying attention to what is going on within us and around us because we are just always reacting, right? Constantly just trying to get through the day, never really slowing down long enough to tune in and figure out what's going on. We probably scroll through news feeds and articles all over social media. Maybe you check out an inspirational meme once in a while or a post. And perhaps you find yourself getting lost in other people's highlight reels, in the stuff that they share that's so amazing. And you might say to yourself, why haven't I done that? Why am I not losing the weight? Why haven't I gotten that promotion? Why haven't I done that thing? Right? And the reason usually is because it scares the shit out of us. Right? It's uncomfortable to think about change. It's scary to think about moving from where you're at to where you want to go because you become so overwhelmed with what you need to do to get there. And so what do? We stay stuck. And we tell ourselves we're fine. We'll do it later. I don't have enough time right now, right? It could be so much worse. I know you said it. I'm guilty. And so what happens? The distance between where you're at and where you want to get to just grows, right? And why? I'm going to tell you that there's nothing wrong with you. Your brain sets you up to fail, okay? So the brain has 3 jobs. The first one is to run very quickly away from pain and discomfort, to run as quickly towards pleasure, right? That's why we find ourselves in the kitchen pantry looking for cookies. And to be efficient. So we don't want to work too hard, right? So anytime you start to think about, oh, I want to go for that promotion. Oh, I want to do that work to lose weight. Oh, I want to start dating again. I want to have a family. Whatever that is, your brain's like, nope, not happening. That's scary. We're going to stay right here. So I just want to throw that out there in case you find yourself shaming yourself for not doing anything. The people who make big changes in their life, they don't want to do it, but they get to that next level because they do. And so I want you to think about, what's that goal? What is that thing that you've been resisting, that you've been telling yourself you're fine? Maybe you've been settling. What is that? And what do you need to do to get there? Because I don't want you to be one of those 200 million people. I want you to be the 1/3, okay? There is a massive revolution happening in health and wellness, and it is calling us to ask ourselves what we're doing with our mindset and our habits and our self-care. It's pushing us to think about how we're showing up as leaders and change makers parents, lovers, friends, community partners. And it requires us to do the deep work that is necessary so that we can begin to show up our best and thrive. Because I know you ladies want to make an impact, whether it's in your families or in your communities or at your place of work. And in order to do that, you have to feel good, right? I have been working with women for quite a while on getting unstuck. And it requires action. And when we take a little bit of action, it leads into more action, right? We need to build the confidence to be able to do that. So I'm here today to give you a little kick in the ass. Motivation is like kindling. You only need a little spark, right? To light the flame. Just consider me like, lighting that flame. I'm gonna set you on fire. Okay, so what I wanna say is that you might be thinking this chick is crazy. She's talking about pushing me to do something. If your brain is already telling you run quickly and go find the wine, I get it, it's totally normal, but I'm going to give you a few things to think about, especially as you enter into the panel part where you start to ask questions, okay? Because here's the thing, you already know what you're supposed to be doing. There's Google, there's podcasts, there's a whole bunch of books. What we do is we find ourselves thinking we're super productive, reading all of that stuff, listening to all of that stuff. You know what that is? That's your brain. Because it's scared, and so you know all this stuff, but you're not doing any of it. I want to take you from knowing to starting to implement and apply. So you have everything you already need inside of you. It's there, right? You're totally capable. And I know this because I've been there, and I'm living through it today, too. I was, not that long ago, working in corporate America, hustling in my career, trying to climb that ladder, and completely ignoring my health, my well-being, everything. Now, if I had any self-awareness at the time, I would have known that I was in a toxic relationship. I had a terrible relationship with food and my body, and I was basically dragging myself to the ground because I was working so hard. But the perception was that I had it all together. I was training for the Olympic trials. I had a killer job that I was doing well at. I ate a lot of vegetables, and I looked healthy. But I was putting a lid on my dreams, and we just heard about Lucy Hobbs. She was not putting a lid on her dreams. She went after them, right? And so I had one of those moments there's just no turning back from. I had found myself on the bathroom floor staring at 2 lines on a pregnancy test, and I went from shock and disbelief to full-on fear. I had no idea what I was going to do. Because several years prior, I had dropped out of college, was admitted to a hospital for an eating disorder, and had a terrible relationship with my body and food. So I didn't trust myself to take care of myself. I thought, holy shit, I'm responsible for a human. What am I going to do? I can't even take care of myself. And so it would be really cool if in this moment I told you I got my shit together. But what I did was it started the ball rolling. Because here's the thing, health and well-being is not just cardio and kale, right? It's what your relationships are like. It's what your community is. It's your mental health. It's how you manage your stress. It's the people in your life. And so I worked on my relationship with food, but the rest of it I didn't do so great with. So I found myself in another situation a couple years later, really pregnant this time. And I had a really long talk with myself. And I basically said, Kelly, you have a choice. You can choose to participate in your life and make the changes you need to get to where you want to go, or you can stay scared and keep listening to all that fear and resistance. I chose to participate. Now, it has not been, sunshine and rainbows. It's not perfect. But from that point on, I made a decision. And when we decide to do something, we start to make those changes. And so what I want you to ask yourself is, have I decided to go after this goal, and what am I ignoring? Because, again, you know what to do, but are you really paying attention to what you need to take care of? So, let's get to the good stuff. I'm going to tell you 3 things you're probably not doing, or maybe not doing well, so that when you start to think about the stuff you need to be doing to get to that goal, you can take action. Cool? Okay, so number 1, you're following everybody else's rules. How many of you are trying to do what somebody else is doing because they're successful at it? As a society, we just look to other people. We have been trained, a little bit brainwashed, to think that because something works for somebody, it should work for us, right? Whether it's how to get the guy, how to lose the weight, how to get the job, whatever it is. Just because it works for one person does not mean it works for everybody. This is when I challenge you to start to actually slow down and pay attention to what's going on with you. Pay attention to what makes you feel good, what makes you thrive, what habits do you need in place to be successful. Not everybody's a morning person, but everybody in the personal development space tells you you should get up in the morning and do 100 things to start your day. But that might not work for you, right? You might be a nighttime person. I am. And I have 2 little boys that run around like madmen in the morning, so mornings are not mine. But just because everybody who's a thought leader is telling you to do something does not mean that that is the only way. What works for you is not going to necessarily work for somebody else, and what works for you today, sorry, it might not work for you a year from now. You've got to pay attention. So take note, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, you're chasing perfectionism. Ladies, how many of you are chasing perfectionism? Okay, I'm gonna make this really easy. It doesn't exist. No such thing. So perfectionism stresses us out because we think there's this ideal, like this perfect thing, and then we become so rigid that we fall into the all or the nothing, right? So you're either all in or you're like, no, peace out, I can't do this. So the best way to attack anything, whether it's your health and well-being, or it's your career goals, or it's something else, is to start small, take away all that pressure, and stop thinking about the end goal. Think about the little things you can do every day that add up to the big thing. Take away the pressure to get it all done. Perfectionism is fear. We're hiding behind perfectionism because we're afraid to put ourselves out there. We're afraid to do the thing. So think about how you're doing that in your own life. And remember that done is better than perfect, okay? So if it's, you can't get an hour in at the gym, do 10 minutes of something, right? If you can't eat the perfect meal, have one thing that's good, right? If you can't get all the sleep, make sure some of the sleep is good. Okay, last one. You need a barracuda. Okay, I'm gonna tell a little story to explain this. You might need a few barracudas, let's be honest. So, back in the day when they were transporting fish to Chicago, the boats would leave the harbor and they'd get to Chicago and, like 40% of the fish were alive. And obviously to sell fish and actually make money, you want them to be alive, right? Not like half dead. So this was a real problem, and they tried everything. Like, they did stuff with the water, they fed them different stuff, they did all these things, right? Nothing helped. And then one day, this guy had an idea that he was gonna drop a barracuda into the pool where all the fish were, right? And when they got to the harbor in Chicago, 60% were alive. So what do you think? Why do you think? Well, the barracuda scared the shit out of those fish, right? He basically raised their level of performance. Those fish had to keep themselves alive. And how this translates to your life is, I want to ask you, do you have barracudas in your life? Or do you have a whole bunch of lazy fish you're hanging around with that aren't pushing you to be your best? Because your environment, the people you surround yourself, they make a big impact on how you show up. You've all heard the phrase or variations of the phrase that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend time with, right? I joke that I spend most of my time with 2 little boys, so that must make me, I don't know, a little wild and crazy. But there is a lot of truth in this. So find your people. Find your barracudas that are going to push you to show up. Find your mentors. Find people who really expect things of you, hold you accountable, and of course give you some grace along the way, right? Okay, those are my 3. I could go on forever, but I have a time limit. So what I want to leave you with is that you all are meant to do big things. There is so much ahead of you, and you need to have the confidence and feel good about going after it. So give yourself some permission to make yourself a priority and start doing the work on making it happen. Okay? Got it? If you have any questions, I'll be hanging around with a cocktail later. Thank you so much for having me. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to come up to me after.